Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Snakebite. You can see a new face here at the desk. Asher Gibbons joining us as my co-anchor for this one. We'll have a few more anchors coming in throughout this semester and really allow us to cover sports as best as we can here at FCTV for you. And we have a ton to cover this week. Women's soccer off to a historic start, as well as volleyball, men's soccer, and every sport in between. Let's roll that intro. The women's soccer team continues to roll through any and all competition as they now sit 3-0-1 after a historic weekend to accompany their historic start to the season. This 3-0-1 record is the best since 2014 when they started with the same exact record through the first four. And the ladies aren't doing it against just any teams either. So let's talk about their matchup, their first of this last weekend when they took on the preseason number 2 team in the country and at the time number 18 team in the country in Columbus State University. The Mocs came into this matchup still looking for their first win ever against Columbus State, coming in 0-3-1 overall against the Cougars, who beat the Mocs 4-0 at home last year and were the top offense in D2. Despite all this, the Mocs came in looking to hand the number 18 Cougars their first road regular season loss since 2023. Early, the Mocs had to hang tough as they faced an onslaught of runs and shots from the Cougar offense, challenging the Mocs backline and forcing Mocs keeper Carly Brodsky to step up early and often. The Mocs defense kept them even until the 24th minute when freshman Brianna Harrigan found the back of the net for the second time in her collegiate career, and it wasn't over after that, as both teams battled for possession and the Mocs fought tooth and nail to keep their 1-0 lead. Throughout this one, Brodsky shined. She posted a career-high 7 saves, but she needed her defense to make one more big play. And to secure the win, Jordan King stepped up to stop the final chance for the Cougars, ensuring all 20 shots by them fell short. These ladies weren't done yet after that, and Asher, they looked to continue to roll after that 4th game of the season, and they were coming up against a really strong performance in their next one.
And that big win was followed by a completely dominant showing against Georgia College, who the Mocs dismantled from the jump, controlling possession, shots, and every facet of the game. In this one, Isabella Payne, a transfer from St. Peter's, scored her first goal as a Moc and first goal of the game as she found herself at the right place at the right time to roll it past the keeper and defenders of the Bobcats in the 7th minute. The Mocs kept shots coming, but didn't get one in the back of the net until Bria Weldon got her first of the season with this low shot to the opposite corner, which she followed up with a PK goal soon after. And Carl, this one ultimately ended in a 3-0 win for the Mocs.
Yeah, and the Mocs just looked really good this weekend. That win against number 18 Columbus State was their first ranked win of an opponent that high since 2023. And there's more historical significance with that, as this is their first time being ranked nationally and receiving votes since 2023, but their first time doing so in the regular season since November of 2022. The Mocs also found some awards as well, as Brodsky was named the SSC Defensive Player of the Week, and she and the rest of the Mocs will return to action at home against the Lynn Fighting Knights tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'll be on the call on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network, and if you can pull up, make sure to come in person and show out at Barron Field.
Men's soccer returned to home for the first time all season in a game where the Christian brothers faced the Mocs, creating chaos and success. From the jump, things were going the Mocs' way as Darcy Moffett put one in the back of the net on a wild sequence in the first minute of the match. This was soon followed up by just 15 minutes later with a cross by Daniel Shabani deflecting into the net by a Bucks defender. The Mocs were rolling, but so were the Clouds, so with just 5 minutes left in the half, a lightning delay stopped the game, creating a 45-minute standstill. After the pause in play, the Mocs got out of the gates quickly in the second half, with Brage Una assisting Tim Bioline for the final goal of the game. The final 43 was all defense, with the sloppy conditions for Lasse Detmer, this week's SSC Defensive Player of the Week, saving 2 shots to seal the 3-0 win against Christian Brothers, and that improves the team to 3-0. The Mocs have since started their 4-game away stint, and it unfortunately went on the wrong foot, and they fell to Flagler in a close game that ended in a final score of 3-2. But Paul Hansen was the first player to find the back of the net for his first as a Moc and against his former team, but Flagler didn't let the Mocs hold on to the lead for long as they answered with one of their own just a minute later. Flagler would go on to extend their lead 3-1, but the Mocs looked to respond late with a Ryan Fitzgerald goal at the 61-minute mark, but only 2 Mocs shots followed, neither finding the goal in the 3-2 loss. The last time the Mocs started 3-1 was in 2017, and tomorrow at 6 p.m., Florida Southern will look to bounce back in a highly anticipated matchup at Boca Raton, Florida, to take on the reigning national champs and #1 team in the country, Lynn University. Be sure to tune in to the SSC Digital Network to watch a vital part of the soccer season unfold.
Dipping just below 25-30. Eli Zupa, Christopher Colavita, Andrew Nyland, and Michael Topi rounded out the scorers in that order, and the ladies also had a strong showing at Appalachia Regional Park, with Grace Reed leading the way for the Mocs, finishing 3rd overall in 19 flat, with Rachel Hockenberry, Reagan Chambliss, Lena Pizzoli, and Emma Pfeiffer rounding out the scores in top 10 of the meet. Both teams will be bringing their top runners up to Kenosha, Wisconsin to compete at pre-nationals September 27th against the best in the country.
Volleyball continued to roll through opponents in their trip to San Antonio, where the Mocs shook things up in the Rattlers invite. The young Mocs squad opened up the tournament with another stressful start for Mocs fans, and Florida Southern pulled off another reverse sweep against Fairmont State. The first 2 sets saw the Mocs go down 25-19 and 25-18. And in the 3rd set, Florida Southern started their rally, winning an extremely close set where they scored 3 straight points to come back from a 23-22 deficit. The following set was also tied up at 21. The Mocs swept the next 4 points to bring the match to a 5th set. And in that final set, 7 straight points were scored to essentially put the game on ice, allowing FSC to take the match. Nako Sasaki and Brielle Mullen put on a defensive clinic, posting 26 and 22 digs respectfully. The second game against St. Mary was won in 4 sets by the Lady Mocs, and once again, Nako Sasaki dominated with 28 digs in what ultimately earned her all-tournament team alongside Bali Coles, who led the team in kills in the first and last game. Unfortunately, the Mocs win streak was snapped in their final game of the weekend by #4 Central Oklahoma in 3 sets by scores of 25-19 in the first 2 and 25-19 in the last set. The Mocs will now venture to Tampa to take on number 19, West Florida, today at 4 p.m. and Valdosta State tomorrow at 7 p.m. in the mini SSC/GFC crossover. All post-game results and stories will be available at fscmocs.com.
And Mocs hockey is opening their season now after a dominant 10-2 win against the University of Florida. Will Marshall, as always, picked up where he left off last season, scoring 5 of the Mocs goals in the win. We saw junior Michael Izzo join the team during the offseason and contribute 5 assists in his first game as a Moc, with Vincent Simonian and Ethan Fisher sharing time between the pipes and Simonian keeping the Gators scoreless. The Mocs will continue the road trip this weekend as they take on USF tonight at 7 p.m. And that will do it for this week's edition of the Snakebite. Water ski is also coming up with a competition, but teams are traveling this week. They're staying home. But the one thing the Mocs are doing right now is winning, and we'll be here for all those wins and hopefully not too many losses, so make sure to stay tuned here on the Snakebite. See you then.